The pregnancy test was shaking so badly in my hands that I had to sit down on the edge of my bed. Two kink lines stared back at me, clear and undeniable. I wasn't scared of being pregnant. I was 25, financially independent, emotionally stable. What terrified me was something else entirely. Telling my traditional Asian family that the father of my child was Alexander Wu, heir to Wu Global Enterprise, one of the most powerful business dynasties in Asia. Before I could even process the reality of it, my mother's voice cut through the house like a blade. "Olivia, come downstairs, now." That tone, sharp, controlled, furious. My heart dropped straight into my stomach. I knew something was wrong. As I walked down the stairs of our modest suburban home, every step felt heavier than the last. When I reached the living room, my chest tightened. Everyone was there. My parents, my younger brother Kevin, and my cousin May, arms crossed, lips curled in that familiar smug smile I learned to fear growing up. My mother didn't waste a second. "Tell them what you saw," she snapped at May. May's eyes glittered with excitement. "I saw Olivia yesterday at Wu Memorial Hospital in the maternity ward." She paused deliberately. "She's pregnant." The room exploded. My mother began wailing like the world had ended. My father's face flushed purple with rage. Kevin just stared at me, stunned and silent. "Is this true?" my father demanded. I swallowed hard, straightened my spine, and lifted my chin. "Yes, I'm pregnant, and I know exactly who the father is." May scoffed loudly. "Oh, we know who you'll claim it is, the same man you've been lying about dating for a year, Alexander Wu." She laughed. "Please, like someone like you would even be noticed by him." Something inside me snapped. Not loudly, but deeply. "I'm not lying," I said, my voice shaking despite my effort. "We met at a charity gala I organized. We've been together for a year." "Enough," my father slammed his hand on the table. "First, you waste your business degree playing event planner instead of helping the family restaurant. Now you're inventing stories about dating one of the richest men in Asia?" I reached for my phone. "Let me call him. He'll explain everything." May laughed cruelly. "What, you'll have a friend pretend to be him?" Then my mother stood up, tears streaming down her face. "I saw you having lunch with that delivery boy last week. He's the real father, isn't he? You're just using these lies to hide your shame." My heart shattered. That delivery boy was Alexander's personal assistant, delivering documents for the charitable foundation we were building together. But they didn't want the truth. They wanted a version of me they could judge. "Either tell us the truth," my father roared, "or get out of this house." I placed one hand over my stomach instinctively. "I am telling the truth." That was when my mother grabbed my arm and dragged me toward the door. "Pack your things. You're not welcome here until you stop lying." Just like that, I was disowned. An hour later, I sat in my car outside the house, tears blurring my vision, as Kevin quietly placed my suitcase in the trunk. He was the only one who came out. "I believe you," he whispered, hugging me tightly. "They're wrong. May's always been jealous." I held on to him like he was my anchor. "Thank you. Please don't get in trouble for defending me." As I drove away, I pulled out the second phone, the secure one Alexander had given me for emergencies. He answered on the first ring. "They threw me out," I choked. There was silence, heavy, dangerous. Then his voice came back cold and controlled. "Where are you?" "Driving to a friend's place." "No, come to the penthouse. You're carrying my child. You belong with me." "But the merger, the secrecy." "Forget all of that," he said softly. "You and our baby matter more." That night, as I drove toward the city skyline, something shifted inside me. My family thought they'd broken me. They thought I was ashamed, alone, desperate. They had no idea what was coming. The next 2 weeks felt like living in another universe. While my family probably imagined me crying in a cheap motel, I was planning my child's future 50 floors above the city. Lawyers moved quietly. DNA tests were completed. Announcements were drafted. Then Alexander looked at me one morning and said, "Are you ready?" For what? For them to learn the truth. The Wu Global Charity Gala was the most prestigious event of the year. Invitations were impossible to get, and yet my family received one with a simple note from me. If you want the truth, come. The night of the gala, I stood in front of the mirror in a custom gown designed to highlight my small baby bump. Alexander stood behind me, adjusting his cufflinks. "They're here," he said calmly. "All of them, including May." I inhaled slowly. Let's give them something they'll never forget. The ballroom was filled with Asia's elite. From backstage, I saw my family seated in the center, stiff and uncomfortable. May kept looking around nervously, probably hoping to prove I'd been lying. Then Alexander's father stepped onto the stage. "My son has found his match, a woman of intelligence, compassion, and vision." My mother clutched my father's arm. "Please welcome Alexander Wu and his fiancée, Olivia Jiang." The gasp from my family's table was loud enough to hear over the applause. May's face drained of color. Alexander spoke of our foundation, our work, our future. Then I stepped forward, resting my hand on my stomach. "Every child deserves the freedom to dream," I said, "even when those dreams don't match what others expect." I looked directly at my father. He looked away. After the speeches, they approached us. Apologies poured out. Tears followed. Alexander calmly handed my father the DNA test results. "You demanded proof," he said politely. My cousin whispered, "I was jealous." I smiled softly. I never needed to lie. When my parents asked to start over, I set my boundaries: respect, acceptance, no control. For the first time in my life, they listened. 2 months later, I sat in my office at the Wu Educational Foundation when my mother walked in crying, not to accuse, not to control, to donate the family restaurant to the foundation. That was when I knew. This wasn't just revenge. This was transformation. Later that day, Alexander squeezed my hand at the doctor's office as we stared at the screen. "Twins," he whispered. "Two girls who will never be told their dreams are too big." When we returned to my parents' house for dinner, I watched my family laugh, plan, and finally accept me as I truly was. Sometimes, people don't learn through explanations. They learn through consequences. And sometimes, the sweetest revenge is simply living the truth so loudly that no one can deny it ever again.